Coming up Saturday, July the 12th, it's the 2025 edition of the Meadowlands Pace, a stakes-filled action card on tap with a post time of 6:20 p.m. And we're going to have the review show, I guess you could say. Greg Blanchard alongside Jessica, and to get everybody hyped up for the weekend. I guess it's not a whole lot of a review with no Meadowlands Pace eliminations this year.
Yeah, that's true. They all got straight into the final, -1. That's probably the big storyline, right, coming in. I'm hoping that the horses have a smoother trip than I did getting here today from London, Ontario.
Yeah.
But, hey, we're here, and we're excited.
Yeah, definitely excited. Let's start with that. A big storyline. Obviously, we were really looking forward to the rematch between Blueprint and Madden Oaks after that North America Cup final. Blueprint scratched, so now the horses to his outside get to move one in on the gate. But glad that they were able to catch whatever was going on in time so that he can, fulfill the rest of his 3-year-old season.
Yeah, that's the the primary thing.
Right.
Disappointing for fans, disappointing for the connections, of course. And it's going to derail what was shaping up to be one of those special seasons for Blueprint. But, hopefully he'll be back. You're right. It looks like they've caught whatever it was. They'll have time to get him right, get him healthy again, and hopefully back for some big races later in the summer or into the fall. In the meantime, though, it opens up the door for others. Really changes the dynamic of the race.
It really does. And maybe not so much the complexion of the race either, Greg, just because I think he was such a versatile colt. I think it's going to change the wagering point of view. I think it's a more wide open race. And I had a chance to catch up with Braxton earlier on this afternoon, and he said, I think it gives everybody else a shot in the race as well. Obviously with Madden Oaks finishing second in that North America Cup final, he thinks now, everybody has a chance of winning.
Well, that's the thing. I think it boosts everybody's confidence level.
Yeah,
that's probably going to be the big change. Not that Blueprint wasn't going to come in as a horse that people saw as invincible, but he was the clear headliner, and he was probably going to get a level of respect that maybe some of the others won't. But now everyone, I think, goes in thinking we've got a realistic shot if things go our way.
Yeah, that's definitely for sure. We're going to kind of do things a little backwards. We're going to talk about the rest of the card, and then we'll talk about the 2025 Meadowlands Pace. We have a lot of Hambo and Hamiltonian Oaks eligibles on tap throughout the card as well. The Stanley Dancer Memorial for the males and the Del Miller for the females. Lots of full fields, which is always great for the wagering aspects as well. We're going to jump right on into it. We're going to get stakes action underway on Saturday night, race 3. It's a division of the Stanley Dancer Memorial. I think all eyes will be on Super Chapter in the season he's had so far.
It looks like Marcus Melander is back with another real powerhouse group aiming towards the Hamiltonian, reminiscent of his 2019 year. And Super Chapter appears to be the slight headliner in the group coming in. He's been perfect, flawless start to the season, 3 for 3 coming in to this one. Narrowly getting it done last time out at Yonkers in the MGM Trot and the Yonkers Trot, and good post to work with here. And they're going to want to get a win, another win under his belt here. They want him going into the Hamiltonian eliminations in a few weeks in a great frame of mind. Yeah,
this is, I guess, one of the final stops before those Hamiltonian eliminations coming up at the end of July. And another horse I think that's worth maybe mentioning, that's Andrew Harris's son of Chapter 7, Montserrat. He said when he shipped his colt up to Vernon those 2 times, he didn't eat, he never felt comfortable, and it might have been a slower mile last week in 54-1 or last time out, but he came out of the race well, and I think that's really key, especially with the long season like these guys have.
One thing about it, they don't get any more money if they go faster.
No, that's true. It's not written on the check.
Not written on the check, as the old saying goes. The trainers with these horses at this point in time just want to make sure that the horses are healthy, they're have a good mindset, and they're pointing in the right direction and trending in the right direction. So that's a good step forward for him after what you said was kind of an adventurous trip, and he didn't race poorly.
No, he didn't
either.
A lot to overcome. You kind of have to sometimes explain to people, how would you feel if you weren't feeling 100%? You had to go out there and give it your all.
That's right. I look at maybe Blueprint in that qualifier this past weekend, because we were surprised. Everybody was surprised to see him get beat in the qualifier. And then after the fact, that probably explains maybe why he did.
Right.
They weren't looking to do anything overly flashy with him, but if he had that ailing him, it's understandable. And it's actually impressive he did what he did.
Right, exactly. Now looking back on it, and I think that's the case for Montserrat as well. So I'll look for him to continue to take steps in the right direction in heading into that first Saturday in August. The next race, well, that's going to be the second division of the Stanley Dancer Memorial for the male trotters. I think all eyes are going to be on Maryland, but I've been very impressed with Go Dog Go, Greg. Well, bringing a roll in from his last start here at the Big M, had post 9. Toddy actually left the gate a little bit there. He snuck in midway through the field, third over. Now this colt, I don't think he could have done that last year because he was just a little bit too hot. He's really matured.
And what I like is watching the body language of the driver.
Yeah.
Pretty much motionless. That's as confident as it gets. And that colt really did it on his own. 26 and change final quarter to win. So, yeah, he comes in as maybe the horse that's been impressing the most of ones that were a little bit under the radar, if you want to call it that, coming into the year. Maryland, on the other hand, the high-profile colt. The way he ended last year, I thought he could be one of those that could come right out of the gate and dominate this year, and hasn't been able to get a win yet. And that just speaks to how tough the competition has been. But he's been good. He's right there, and just a mild improvement from him over the next 2-3 weeks. We'll have him right there in the thick of it, and we'll leave that up to Marcus Melander, who's one of the best in the business.
Right, and he's confident too in this guy. There's no need to, get over excited about him not winning, I guess you could say, just because, all of these people, all these trainers are really aiming for that first Saturday in August. You want to be peaking at that time, not tired. So I think that also speaks volumes as well. And we're going to see Maximus Miras, first start of the year for him. He qualified well, I thought, and he was just a neck behind Maryland in that Breeders' Crown final. So exciting to see him debut.
For sure. You make a good point. When I think of the great Hamiltonian trainers, the Ron Gerfines, Chuck Sylvesters, Jimmy Takter, that's what they had down to a science, was pointing the horses and peaking them for the big day. And Marcus Melander, he's been here a few years now, and he's been very close, and he's gaining a little bit more experience each and every time he goes through it. And this year, I think he's going to be formidable again. He's going to be right there, and you'd like to see a young guy like that breakthrough.
Yeah, definitely. And he's got a couple of good chances, not just Maryland.
Huge.
Obviously, we saw Super Chapter. He's got variegated as well. And so there's plenty of horses, obviously. That's why we race them. But I think it's a really nice group of horses that are going to head behind the gate in both of those Stanley Dancer Memorial divisions. Those go as races 3 and 4. And then we're going to flip over to the fillies. And I've said this a couple of times this year, Greg. Embarrassment of riches. The 3-year-old filly trot division this year is so beyond deep.
Yeah, that's right. They're exceptional. I agree with you. And it's just sort of splitting hairs and trying to determine who you think maybe the best in the division is at this point in time. You could make a case for one of them in here. Her name is Yo Tilly.
Yeah.
She's done absolutely nothing wrong.
She's we're actually going to bring a roll in from Yo Tilly. Unfortunate, she's not Hamiltonian Oaks eligible. Here's that win on the Reynolds, back just a couple of weeks ago. What an impressive win there. Parked past the quarter, 28-2, and under wraps. You talk about the body language of a driver. Toddy never moved.
Yeah, this has the look of something special, doesn't it? And very interesting. This is a $25,000 yearling purchase. You probably weren't thinking or didn't maybe have the aspirations to be aiming at those big races, if you will. They had aspirations, but maybe didn't have expectations. That's maybe the better word to use. And here she is, looking like she's one of the very best. But she will have to be that good again, because look at this field. And you've got a bulky group now. You've got one from the trailing position as well.
Yeah, definitely. And Verlin Yoder, he's the guy who picked this horse out and campaigned her in her 2-year-old season. Big kudos to him. And Andrew Harris credits a lot, to him as well. And he's been extremely happy, obviously, with her so far in 2025 and her 3-year-old season. You have Champagne Problem. She was the Dan Patch Award winner. She gets post 4. And then, of course, the daughter of Muscle Hill and Atlanta, Deja Blue. I mean, she didn't get the winner's circle the last 2 starts, but she put up some big miles.
Yeah, she's been knocking at the door. I think getting better with each and every start. So, trending in the way that you would like to see her as well. And Our Charm is one that I think now one start in the books. It was a narrow victory, an overnight win, perfect trip. You got the win. Nice way to start the campaign.
Definitely. And you're going to see only horses with a couple of starts heading into it because, again, it's a long season. You really want them to be fresh that first Saturday in August on the filly side as well. You got the Hamiltonian Oaks, heading forward that too. So it's not just you want to have 10 starts under their belts by the time you get there. You just want to have some nice good goes under their belts. And a filly who I think really fits that perfectly is Conversano for the Juan Cano Barn. She's in the next division of the Del Miller Memorial. And here she is winning her division of the Reynolds on the 28th of June. And she's been sensational in her 3-year-old campaign so far, Greg. 5 wins from 6 starts. And Juan really credits his horse. He knew he had a nice horse last year. It was all between her ears.
Yeah, different approach in this race, too. She was on the front end and holding rivals off late. Pretty gutsy win, I think, from her on that occasion. Still showing some versatility. And what jumps off the page at me is that this is a filly that loves what she does and has a nose for the wire. And, she's been getting better each and every time it appears. But post 10, big assignment for this one because she's got so many good ones inside of her.
Yeah.
What a Bid Hanover from the Swanstead barn is the one that I really have a focus on in here. Lightly raced last year, 7 starts, 3 wins, and only 3 starts in. So I think primed for maybe her best on Saturday night.
Yeah, and What a Bid Hanover last year, she was known for that big late kick in the stretch. She kind of got a little lost there in the New Jersey Sire Stakes final and then was just beaten a neck in the Zwag at Vernon Downs. But she's got the post advantage in here. So I think that will definitely work to her credibility. And I think a wild card as well, Greg, a Perfect Annie. We haven't seen her here since her Breeders' Crown final. She's 2 for 2 down at Oak Grove.
And don't discount the Canadian Invader Grand Reserve. Team Stacy shipping one in, and they're not here, looking to just go around. They're looking looking for a good result. And even Vogish, let's talk about her, one of the high-priced yearlings for Andrew Harris. And was doing everything the right way, and then the last start out made the mistake in the Zwag. I'm not sure what happened there. You might have some insight, but she'll look for a big rebound here. And if you look past that line, she's been a force in the division too.
And she looked good up until she made that break. She came first over, and I thought she was going to really give them a run for their money on the front end. But they're not perfect. They're not machines, so hopefully they can get that little quirk fixed, I guess, and wrinkled out there. But very much looking forward to all of those horses because that's just a little bit of a preview of what we're going to see that first Saturday in August.
Yeah, I mean that's the other thing that we're going to be watching for. Meadowlands Pace is the signature event of the season here at the Big M, but you can't help but start looking ahead a little bit down the road, right? What are we, less than a month now?
24
I think we're less than a month. It's hard to believe.
Yeah.
And and there's no clear-cut horse that's taken the bull by the horns yet. So, Saturday could tell us a lot about how things are going to shake out.
I think you're absolutely correct. Last year in the Stanley Dancer is when Sig Sauer beat Carl, and, Carl came back to in the Hamiltonian. So I think this weekend speaks volumes for that division.
I agree. And just on a little interesting side note, it's kind of taking the complexion of 2019. I'll go back to that a little bit, where Melander had the big 3 going in, looked like almost like he couldn't lose it.
Right.
And, his horses raced great, but Forbidden Trade just came up with the race of his life for Luke Blais.
Yeah.
When you know it, Luke Blais got a big contender coming in again this year.
Yeah.
So it's going to be fun to watch.
And we're not even going to get to see him this
weekend. Great storylines. I know.
Yeah,
so that adds to the intrigue, I think, right? Keep them away from each other a little bit longer.
Right. Just make us wait up until that elimination weekend. All right, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to take a look at the older horses on tap for Saturday night.
Racetrack Television Network brings you every race from every track on every screen every day. Monthly packages starting as low as $5 per month. RTN gives you great value and access to more HD streaming and race replays than anyone. Visit rtn.tv today to sign up and watch on almost any device, including Roku and Amazon Fire.
Al Raj Farms, more than 4 decades of trend-setting and modern-day trotting. Al Raj Farm is the birthplace of millionaires such as Fern, Muscles Marinara, Whiskey Tax, and Dewey Color in the Line. Alaraj Farm is also home to some of the top broodmares in the sport, such as Ice Attraction, Non-Stick, 7 Times a Lady, and She Shack. Check out their lineup of 16 yearlings by sires such as the Great Muscle Hill, Walner, Chapter 7, Captain Corey, and first crops by Back of the Neck and Bucarey D, selling this fall in Lexington, Kentucky. The birthplace of 2-year-old trotting filly Breeders' Crown champion Lady Landia. You can find them all at alarajfarm.com or on Facebook. Alaraj Farm.
Champions are made on the racetrack, but many of them are born, raised, and developed at farms right here in New Jersey. New Jersey is home to nearly 100,000 acres devoted to the horse industry, and harness racing's breeding and training facilities play a vital role in protecting open space and supporting agriculture throughout the Garden State. With the state's ongoing recognition of the importance and value of the standardbred industry, New Jersey will remain a place where champions are made. To learn more, visit sboanj.com.
We still have plenty of action to cover for Saturday's big night of racing, highlighted by the 2025 Meadowlands Pace. Really looking forward to that one. But we got other races that we're going to talk about, including 2 divisions of the William Haughton Memorial. Those come as races 7 and 10. Lots of interesting driver changes as well, Greg. We'll start with race 7. And this one is an interesting field. We're going to have Captain Albano take on the older horses. We're going to bring in a roll-in from a couple of weeks ago where Coach Stefanos got the perfect trip he loves, where he comes from well off the pace for driver James McDonald. Irvin Hanover, well, he put some pretty hot fractions up front.
Yeah, James has been a pretty nice combination with this guy when he's teamed up with him. Of course, he won the Breeders' Crown last year in spectacular fashion with the exact same kind of trip. Kind of let the others do all the dirty work up front, and he's Johnny on the spot late once again. I guess the question is, can he duplicate that? Can he work out that kind of a trip again? And if he doesn't, is he versatile enough, in your opinion, to win it using another style?
Yeah, it's. I think that's definitely what it's going to come down to. Dexter had his choice of 2 in here, Buckabet, Hanover, and Sabonis. He opted to stay with Sabonis from that trailing position at number 11 after a win in that graduate final. They finally got this guy figured out last week.
Yeah, and I was working the show here with Dave Little, and I backed Sabonis, and he really came through for me. I didn't. Now, in no way, shape, or form did I see him winning the way he did.
Right.
That was ultra impressive for sure. And now with the trailing position, I really don't know what to expect. But what I do know is this is a top quality horse that I think will continue to improve as the season goes on. I think he's a major player in this division the rest of the season. Just don't know what kind of a trip scenario lies ahead for him this week.
I think if we know one thing about him, Greg, he loves to win. 16 wins from 18 starts last season, so he loves to get the job done. Throw out 2 horses that I don't think are going to take a lot of money. That's Bucephalus and 7 Colors. Both finished second in their division of the Broward last time out, and they raced very well, too.
Yeah, both are quite capable. Outside posts, we'll have them on the outside looking in, but, don't totally rule them out.
No,
for sure.
they're
too good. Bucephalus has had, his biggest wins come right here on this track as well. The one that I'm looking forward to seeing come back and watching him hopefully rebound is Captain Albano.
Yeah.
He was, I guess you'd say, a little bit flat, for a horse of that caliber off the trip. But when you really look at it, it was still a great effort, right? So, I could see him with that mid-gate starting spot getting right back into the win column.
Better post, like you just mentioned. Sometimes it's just tough from post 10 back-to-back weeks, no matter what caliber of horse you are.
Yeah, he had to do so much work to try and work out that good second, what appears to be a good second over trip, but he didn't just fall into it. He had to do a lot to get there and get into that position. So, and then if you're only good enough to come home in 26-2, 26-3 these days at that level,
It's sometimes
hard to win.
Exactly. It's sometimes just not enough. But he held in there for a really good fourth. And I think
Absolutely.
that speaks the volumes, too, like you'd mentioned from that trip. So that's a very interesting race. It's an overflow field of 11. That's the first division of the William Haughton. That goes as race number 7. And then the second division comes in race number 10. It's another overflow field of 11. And I think all eyes are going to be wide open. I think a lot of people are looking forward to seeing Ken Hanover come back. I liked him a lot when he won that Broward, the division of the Dave Brower a couple of weeks back, and I think he's extremely sharp.
Yeah, and one thing about it, he's done it from an outside post over the course of his career. He's done it several times, including last week, winning from post 8. A little bit more difficult this time, post 9 and a trailer to negotiate, but
Right.
no reason to really suggest that he couldn't come back and do it. I would probably pick against him. If you're playing in the pick 4 or whatever, I'd certainly use other horses, I guess is what I should say. And one of them would be Captain Luke.
Yes.
This guy's been sort of hinting that he's going to break through one of these times.
Loaded with pace and nowhere to go in his last 3 starts. That's just simply how it's shaken out.
And I'll be frank, last year, he had a good year as a 3-year-old, but to me, like a little bit disappointing overall because coming into the season, he had the look of one that I thought could maybe step up and be a big player in the division. He was there. He was in all the big dances, but maybe slightly disappointing overall in the campaign. This year, it looks like he's turning a bit of a corner lately. I feel like he's really developing into a nice older horse, and I think he's sitting on a good one this week.
Yeah, and Scott Zeron had his choice in here. Charlie May, he took him over Time Is On My Side, and Captain Luke will be reunited with Todd McCarthy as Jason Bartlett took Coach's Corner. And, of course, we've got By the Missile from post 11, and he was driving Funtime Bayama, so he'll pick up James McDonald. And Maximus Mickey has been a horse, a Big M lover type of horse, Greg. But he usually does his best work when he can be, first over. And I know you see that win on the front end a couple of starts back. I just don't think he had a chance to even see those horses on the outside last time out.
Yeah, that's true. And to win with that grinding style at this level, boy, you've got to be awfully good. Just not sure if you can do that. But, maybe he gets into the mix and just gets a little bit of help from somebody else. That's all it would take, I think.
Yeah, I agree with you. And he's a big horse, too, so it kind of gets him a minute just to get rolling. But I think he's capable of going with this, and I'm excited to see him back. So that goes as race number 10, the second division of the William Haughton Memorial. So those go as races 7 and 10. And then we'll flip over to the ladies, the Dorothy Haughton Memorial. That goes as race number 8, and a bit of an upset last week or 2 weeks ago. Sylvia Hanover got the jump on Twinbee Joe Fresh. Twinbee Joe Fresh towed Sylvia Hanover into the race, and I thought this was a very, very nice drive by Tetrick. He left, sat, and he waited for Dexter to come first over rather than pulling and coming first over and towing Twinbee into it.
Yeah, this took us back a couple of years, when these were fillies that were banging heads and had these epic finishes and getting the best of each other on occasion. But that battle was really one-sided last year for Twinbee Joe Fresh. So, it had been a while since we'd seen Sylvia look that good. She was fantastic. And Twinbee Joe Fresh, another great effort from her, but second best on that particular night. So what can we expect this week? It's really hard to say. Can Sylvia come right back and do it from a much more difficult starting spot this week? Twinbee Joe Fresh, post 1, so big advantage in my opinion.
Yeah, I think so too. It kind of comes down to the draw and then the way the race is going to shape out, who's going to get the trip. I think it's also worth noting too, my girl EJ, she's a 4-year-old facing the older horses, one of the 4-year-olds. First start Lasix last week. I thought she was a nice bounce back win off of that Roses of Red final.
For sure. I could see her being a part of it. A veteran like Kobe's Gigi, you can never overlook her. Remember what she did back here, 2022, I think it was. She won the Lady Liberty. Big upset at 50-1 on that occasion. My girl EJ, of course, always a hard hitter, and one of these times is going to get her big moment of the spotlight over these. But Sylvia, Twinbee Joe Fresh, they still draw all the eyes when they meet up.
I love that rivalry.
Yeah, we hope as fans that it's back on in
I
earnest.
agree.
Let's see round 2 this week And and then when that happens, when those two are, battling each other like they did last time, and if they that rivalry gets renewed, then it helps other horses, right? Because they're going to tussle and set the table a little bit for some others.
Maybe set some hot fractions for somebody to pick up the pieces at the end of the mile. The Dorothy Haughton for the mares, that goes as race number 8. The Hamiltonian Maturity, it attracted 13 horses this year, which is pretty nice to see. That'll go at a distance race on Saturday night. A lot of horses coming into this race off of troubled trips, good efforts, and now you're going to have 3 trailing positions.
Yeah, I love this field, and I'm having trouble keeping up to the races. We're flipping back and forth. There's so many great races, so many great horses. The best horses on the planet are here in every category, and this might be the race of the night in terms of the interest level, the intrigue of the added distance, the bulky field. And so much quality in the group. And the girls taking on the boys here. You got 6 females versus 7 male rivals. And I give the edge to the females.
I was going to say, maybe it's the boys taking on the girls.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. No question about it. I think coming in, and especially now that some of them have drawn better. We saw Warrawee Michelle, Lista Hanover, fantastic last week from outside post positions. Neither one of them ever saw the pylons, and here they are finishing 1-2.
I was just gonna, allude to that too. They both had outside posts. Post 8 for Warrawee Michelle. You're gonna see her in the middle of the track with Aki, and then Alyssa had post, and she was 3 wide throughout that first turn. Neither one of them saw a pylon. Both of them trotted home very, very nicely. Trotting in 50 and change there. Now they get a better post to work with. Both of them get to draw towards the middle of the gate. But with that being said, too, Greg, it's important that they don't get caught up in too much traffic heading into that first turn.
No, and that's going to be the only thing that might trip them up right now. Alyssa Hanover, she is as sharp as a horse can get right now. She signaled 2 back. I mean, she was flying on the end of that race. And then to follow up with the effort she did last time out, taking nothing away from Warrawee Michelle, but Alyssa Hanover, she went the winning trip. She went the biggest trip in that race. Warrawee Michelle was huge as well. And there's not a whole lot to choose, I think, between those two. How about the 3-pronged attack, all leaving right beside each other from the Luke Play stable? Private Access, and then the great mares Emoji Hanover and Drawn Impression.
Yeah, both Emoji Hanover and Drawn Impression we'll see pop up here for the first time. What were your thoughts on Private Access's, graduate final effort? Beaten favorites, but, almost like you got to forgive that effort.
Yeah, a good effort, solid effort. Nothing wrong with it. But what it showed me is that the mares are every bit as good as the boys in this division.
And he was really
it's
pressured.
It's going to come down to trip scenario.
Right, and he was really pressured throughout the entire mile. Whereas maybe as a couple of those legs, he wasn't maybe pressured as long, and I think that kind of got to him late. Yeah,
reverse how the race unfolds this time, and he could very well win. But that's going to have to happen. I think what you saw there is if you get caught up in any kind of speed in the middle half of the race, and you've got an Alyssa Hanover or Warrawee Michelle sitting on your back, look out.
Yeah, last year it was an upset with Chapacraze. I think he had post 10 or 11. My mind serves me correct. And it was an upset win there. I think with the added distance, overflow field, it can really make for some mayhem.
That's right, because the drivers, they're not used to it. It's something we don't see that often. It's not a big difference in distance, but totally different tactics can get employed here, and with 13 horses too, you can't risk getting caught in. You've got to try and get out into the flow.
Right.
So yeah, it's early decisions are crucial in this race.
I definitely think that this is going to be one of the most intrigued races on the card, just because of that overflow field of 13, and you really could make a case for like 6 or 7 of them.
Easily. It's going to be a driver's race for sure. But I'd be leaning to the middle of the gate. A Drawn Impression, the 2 mares that were 1-2 last time out, and Private Access. He's got a good spot. He should be able to lay up close. And then I'm intrigued with a couple from the trailing tier here. You've got a great mare and Woman of Passion who we're not even talking about. Then you've got Amazing Catch, who's been trying to find his mojo this year, and Daiquiri Hanover. So it's got the kind of the makings, like if something crazy happens, that one of those trailing horses gets that perfect following trip and kind of comes from nowhere late.
Yeah,
We've seen it before.
Exactly. And you brought up Woman of Passion. Todd McCarthy had his choice of Woman of Passion or Amazing Catch. He opted to stay with the mare for Carter Pinsky. 10 wins from 15 starts last year. She's got a lot of gate speed too, Greg, which is really interesting because she has to start from the trailing position.
We'll see how she handles it,
Yeah.
right? But, if I was going to use, a couple of words to describe race 9, I'd say girl power this year.
Yeah, the boys are taking on the girls.
Yeah.
That comes as race number 9. It's the E.T. Jerry Jr. Hamiltonian Maturity Memorial. Really looking forward to that. I think it's going to be a very interesting race, to say the least. Just to piggyback off of that. And we're going to flip over, and I'm going to... Race 12, the Jerry Silverman Memorial. Those are for the 3-year-old pacing fillies. Another one that's an overflow field of 11. Like I said, lots of full fields, overflow fields. This one's for the 3-year-old pacing fillies. We've got Mickey and Minnie and Rodeo Drive Dale. They're going to team up again.
Yeah, this is interesting now with Mickey and Minnie leaving from the trailing tier, and getting knocked off two back, and did come back and qualify since then and was a winner, but just leaves that little chink in her armor, I guess you would say, coming in. Rodeo Drive Dale, she gets her nose on the gate, and I think that's going to be critical here. I think she's starting to just hit her peak here this season. Good runner-up effort in the Fan Hanover. She came from left field and wasn't far off Mickey and Minnie, and then last time out was able to measure it at Pocono Down. So good post to work with. I think she's the horse to beat, and I might not have said that 2-3 weeks ago.
No, definitely. And Mickey and Minnie qualified last week, added Lasix too. So I think that's worth noting as well. And a filly that I've been a fan of too, Greg, West Winds. She was scratched out of the Fan Hanover final. She was third behind Chantilly, and she's going to get a good post to work with. If she's sharp and on her game and ready to go, I think she could definitely be a competitor with them.
I have her in the mix for Noel Daly, one of the top trainers in the sport, and she's, I think, peaking and getting good at the right time. 3 times better. Here's an undefeated filly, post 6, but a big step up the class ladder here. And you've got a Canadian invader, Wicked Pace. Now, she's been a regular in the Ontario Sire Stakes. Real good effort in the Fan Hanover, finishing 4th in the final of that. She's been chasing a good one up north of the border the last year and a bit in Chantilly. Yeah. And, she's coming here as a player. It would be a big upset for sure. But, again, they're not making that road trip from Canada for nothing.
Right, and I was just going to say, a filly that we don't even get a chance to see is Chantilly. But good news, she's qualifying tomorrow morning.
That's
or
great,
Saturday morning.
Great to hear. Yeah, she's been having the, I guess it's issues with the lungs and maybe allergies and that type of thing this year. Just not 100%. They're wanting to be safe. I was hearing that there's a foot issue or something, but I don't think there's anything to that, thankfully.
Yeah. Right.
Because, she's, I think she was out to school there last week, and someone said she's in to qualify, so that's fantastic.
I'm so looking forward to when Mickey and Minnie can meet up with Chantilly and now Rodeo Drive Dale. Yeah,
and then, we might see 1 or 2 others emerge here, so that could set up for some interesting races down the road. But, we've been wanting to see Chantilly take on the best in North America, just to see how they are head to head, and that's going to happen sooner than later.
It is, so we'll have to wait and see on that one. But after Mickey and Minnie got beat, I think it kind of opens up the field a little bit.
I agree, and again, it's going to instill a little bit of confidence in the others, and especially with her leaving from the trailing tier, they can take an aggressive approach. Where now Mickey and Minnie's going to have to do some stick handling. But, Dexter, he usually can work out a good trip.
Yeah, and I do want to throw in...
Knack.
Just a knack for getting horses to the winner's circle and being the 5-time Dan Patch driver of the year. Also worth mentioning, maybe a little bit of a long shot, too. Can't See Me. She's put up some of those numbers in some of those big races, and she's going to get a good post to work with for Mark Stacey.
Mark Stacey, when he's come here over the years, he's picked his spots, and he's done well. I think of a Hannah Hanover from yesteryear that was able to come here, and she did her best racing, in fact, when she came to the Meadowlands. And Sylvia Hanover, obviously, in recent years. So, I think he's got Can't See Me coming in good form. Hasn't been able to crack the win column yet this year. I don't see that happening Saturday, but if it does, and people back her, they're going to get well rewarded.
Yeah, maybe she won't be the one doing all the heavy lifting this time out.
Yeah, I don't think she will. I think I think you've kind of got to drive them conservatively. Ones like that, and you're hoping for a little bit of racing luck.
Yeah, definitely. Going to be another good one. Plenty of good action coming up on Saturday, July the 12th. Another quick break, then we're going to break down the Meadowlands Pace field for 2025.
Don't miss the North American Standardbred Mixed Sale, Mount Hope, Ohio, December 18th and 19th. Specializing in high-quality racehorses and broodmare prospects with industry-leading pedigrees. A live auction with online bidding and payouts in 7 days. Our first sale, we sold a Legion for $925,000. Buyers from all over North America and other countries can visit our website, NorthAmericanStandardbredMixedSale.com. Mount Hope, Ohio, December 18th and 19th.
FanDuel Casino players get 350 bonus spins and up to $1,000 back in casino bonus. So blow the house down on Huff and More Puff. Only on FanDuel Casino. Plus, try more exclusive games like Samurai Spin Kenji. Or go for wins in the paint on NBA Super Slam. So dunk, battle, and puff your way to exclusive wins. New players get 350 bonus spins plus up to $1,000 back in casino bonus.
We're back to break down the 2025 Meadowlands Pace field. If you're watching with us, leave us a comment, a question. We'll try our answer. But you have a question for the crowd.
I've got a question for those watching because it took me so long to get here today. I didn't have time to do a few things I wanted to do. I wanted to go back and get the head-to-head record with Sylvia and Twinbee Joe Fresh, because I think over the course of their career it will be fairly close. So I know John Rallis is watching from over at the hotel. Some other
couldn't even ride over here with you?
No, he's laying in bed, getting rested up.
Whoever's the first person to answer that correctly, I'll send you some Pace swag. How about that?
Nice.
So
I like it.
Get us the correct answer. You'll get some Pace swag because we're both curious. Been a busy week. Didn't get time to check on that, but I think you're right. I think probably pretty close.
I think that's just anecdotally, because Sylvia would have got the upper hand a lot in their early days, and then as mentioned this last year, Twinbee Joe Fresh really seized the division, and with the win last time out, I'd be curious to see where it sits at this point in their career.
All right, quick question for you: North America Cup night. From your vantage point, what was the vibe like there?
Fantastic.
Yeah,
it really was. It was so cool. And, the coolest part about the race, the race itself was fantastic because I think a lot of people in the sport were kind of rooting for a couple of young drivers that, hadn't been in that race before, Ronnie Wren, Braxton Boyd. And then the interview with Braxton afterward, and I think we're going to show it in a bit. That raw emotion from him right on the spot, that was fantastic. But great crowd. It was a super race this year. The field really set up well. There was a lot of intrigue around it. Big crowd, good weather, everything you would want.
Couldn't ask for much more than that. We're actually going to bring in the roll-in for the North America Cup final, where Blueprint, he made his way to the front up the backside. A stellar drive by Ronnie Wren, because that really forced the hand of Dexter. Dexter probably didn't know what he was going to do. He ended up getting in, then he followed him with cover, but what a stretch duel. That's literally all I have to say with this.
Incredible. And right here, Madden Oaks is a winner.
Exactly.
I'm sure he's going to go by, and I think he did maybe by a couple of inches. So a testament to Blueprint. That showed me Blueprint's not just a real nice colt. He's a great
He's a
colt
fighter.
in my opinion.
Yeah.
And Madden, and no, that's no disrespect to Madden Oaks.
Definitely
He
not.
was fantastic. To do what he did from post 10. So he's got an outside post to navigate again, but now we know what he can do with it.
Right.
What was interesting too, though, there's like 3 or 4 horses in the NA Cup that were just never in it. They just slow starts and
Right, and that kind of alludes to what I was going to say next. Definitely not the trips I think anybody watching was going to maybe foresee, because we'll get to that Braxton interview in a second, but he's got post 10. The only other person to his inside leaving was Yannick with Swingtown. You would have thought maybe 3 or 4 other horses were to leave, and I think that's what's going to separate the Pace final from the North America Cup final is now with Blueprint out, a couple of those horses are really going to go for it.
there's no question. And it's a sign of the times, no matter what the level, but especially when you're talking the best and the best of the best. You're not winning from 9th or 10th.
No.
I mean, something really extraordinary would have to happen. So you've got to get some forward position early on, and it was surprising that some, for whatever reason, whether it was by choice or whether the horse put in a little step or something that just let the driver believe that he had to grab them up a little bit. But whatever the case, there were 2 or 3 that were just never in it, and I think, and one of them was Prince Hal Hanover, and I don't think that'll be the case this time from post 4.
And this business is all about opportunities, and I think it's so great. Like a young driver like Braxton Boyd, 25 years old, Cameron Capone, 25 years old. I actually met one of the owners of Madden Oaks last week. They had Van Deen and Blue Chip. Very nice guy, and it comes down to opportunities, because you can have the Dexter Duns, the Yannick Gingras, the McCarthys, the Zerons, the Miller. The list goes on. But for a young guy like Braxton to get an opportunity like this is really awesome.
For sure, and his second place finish to him and the connections almost like winning it, and the reaction told that. Whereas the established guys that have been there so many times, the second place finish, they get off the bike and a quick little high five and then off to their next drive. But for these guys, it was celebration time, and it was great to see.
Yeah, we're actually going to look at that North America Cup interview that I think Primetime Racing was able to catch after the race. Braxton Boyd talks about his trip through Madden Oaks.
I'm here with driver of the 10, Madden Oaks driver Braxton Boyd. Take us through that trip. It was a phenomenal battle down the stretch.
I was kind of going behind the gate, not really with any plan at all, and by God, I saw a lot more people ducking than I thought, so I was just like, screw this, I'm going to the front. And, once Ronnie come, that's the horse to follow. So, I thought it worked out absolutely perfect, and I was trying to find some room there at the top of the stretch, and I went left, and, Ronnie's horse kind of drifted a little like he did last week, and I got up the rail, and I thought we were going to get him, but second's pretty sweet.
Second is amazing. It was high fives all around between everyone here with the horse. Congratulations. What a thrill it is to be in this race.
Oh, my goodness. I mean, I hope I get to do it again, but by God, at least we got a good piece of it when we did it.
You just can't help but smile and laugh when after that interview, Greg. And kudos to Jamie McDonald.
Yep.
Losing interviews, never fun. Best case scenario.
Yeah, for sure. Good on her. That was she called that audible. None of us had expected that she was going to do that. She saw him coming off the tracks and quickly said, do you want to try and grab Braxton? And they said, yeah, absolutely. And I mean, that's as an authentic a reaction as you can get. He's still huffing and puffing. He's still out of breath. And you notice he had the helmet cam on. Now, there was another video of him with the helmet.
Yes.
Now, we couldn't air that.
No, but if you go to Jessica Hallett's Facebook page, look it up.
Did she edit out some of the expletives?
Nope. Just don't watch it around your children. How about that?
Yeah, but it was all it was for the right reason. It was just pure excitement coming out of him at the time. Fantastic.
Definitely. And I remember there's another preview show a little bit later on with harnessracing.com, but I've known Braxton my whole life. Grew up around him. He's a couple years younger than me, same age as my sister. But I literally remember when we were, knee-high to the cornfield, or whatever that saying is, and he was announcing races with his dad at Jackson Harness Racing. Never did I imagine that he'd be on the East Coast. We'd both be on the East Coast. And he's competing in 2 of the, premier races. Yeah,
it's amazing how it goes. Now, I'm a little bit older than you. I can remember Scott Zeron, my early days at Mohawk, Woodbine and Mohawk, out in the winter circle with his dad Rick, doing remember the Zorro routine? And same thing. And, you assumed he probably would follow in the footsteps and probably be a good driver, but now he's the money man. He's a multiple Hamiltonian winner. So it's incredible.
It's definitely fun to just kind of see it all happen and unfold definitely before your eyes. So I know he's going to have a big cheering section, Braxton, that is, on Saturday night, as a lot of these connections will. But to kind of piggyback off of that, Madden Oaks wasn't here last week. He was in a prep race, an overnight race at Tioga Downs, but we did have a prep race after those Meadowlands Pace eliminations. We're going to bring in the whole race for the Meadowlands Pace prep race and kind of dissect it a little bit, because I think there's a lot to learn from that prep race last week.
And they're off. Captain Optimistic gets the first call, but Joel and the Jets shoots out and goes for the lead. Pappy's Pistol on the inside with early speed. It's those three into the first turn. Fallout unhurried, fourth on the inside, followed by Knockout Brown, and Manolette is the early trailer. Dexter Dunn sends Captain Optimistic. Captain Optimistic strides out strong, takes the lead from Joel and the Jets. Pappy's Pistol third past the quarter, then comes Fallout and Knockout Brown and Manolette. First quarter up in a sparkling 26 3/5 across the backstretch. Captain Optimistic sets up shop now for Dexter Dunn, leads the way. Joel and the Jet in for that two-hole ride. Pappy's Pistol tracking third. Fallout fourth on the inside, and then Knockout Brown and Manolette, and no changes, no right lines at the half. Captain Optimistic, he is 4 to 5 right now, in front by a length. Stocked by Joel in the Jets, 55-1. A breather in that second quarter. Pappy's Pistol third. Onto the far turn they go. Fallout still fourth. Knockout Brown and Manolette, and they have 3/8 to go. Captain Optimistic getting his own way here, unchallenged in front, a length and 3/4. Joel and the Jets now trying to rev up and come after him. And then it's Pappy's Pistol who needs to do more. Fallout takes a peek to the outside, followed by Knockout Brown and Manolette. Passing 3/4, Captain Optimistic in 1:22.4. So he threw a 27-3 at them. Into the stretch drive. Captain Optimistic in front. Joel and the Jets after a perfect trip on the outside is full out. Shooting through inside, Pappy's Pistol with late pace. Here comes Pappy's Pistol as they close in on Captain Optimistic. Pappy's Pistol, Manolette from the inside with late pace. Pappy's Pistol, then Manolette, then Captain Optimistic and Fallout. 1:49.1.
That was the prep race from last Saturday night, Greg, and I think there's a lot to take out of that race. Your opinion first on Pappy's Pistol, the winner.
Very good.
Yeah.
But perfect trip. So if you're the connections, that's exactly what you would have hoped for. It's a dream race.
Right, exactly.
Really, in preparation.
I had a chance to catch up with David, and I asked him, I said, in my opinion, from my vantage point, it looked like you were kind of gapping out there in the far turn. And he said, I just kind of let him, do his thing. And when I asked him, he kind of switched his leads and really took off. I mean, this Colt may have flown under the radar a little bit last year, but he was really good in the kindergarten final, being a winner in that. Maybe just a tad bit overmatched up there, but he always seems to do his best work here at the Meadowlands.
Yeah, and very fast. That's when I think of him, I think of high speed and the right kind of a trip.
Right.
And we saw what he can do when that happens last time. And he's got a real opportunity. He's got post one again. Mm-hmm. So, can it work out the same way? Now, the question is Dave going to be kind of that conservative now with, going
now with
for
the
650?
Blueprint.
Yeah, now with Blueprint out, he's going to want to try and make his own luck. So that'll be an interesting part of the equation.
And if Dave Miller does get the job done, he'll be the oldest driver to win the Pace. And another interesting
I wasn't going to bring up his age. But
I didn't say his age. I just said the oldest.
Yeah, it's remarkable.
It is public knowledge. This is the program.
It is. It's remarkable that he's
had 24 tries, one winner.
Yeah, it's tough. And, it took him a long time to win the NA Cup, too.
Yeah.
And he rattled off a couple in a row. But great driver.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. That was 2018 with Courtney Choice and Blake McIntosh. We'll bring up a field still of the entire race. Lots to break down, Greg. First and foremost, let's start with Captain Optimistic. He was the favorite going into last week's race. He just looked to me, he never relaxed on the track.
Yeah, you know, it's a disappointing race only for the fact that expectations are so high with him.
Right.
He is one of the leaders in the division. He has been, and he raced, I thought, really well in the NA Cup. He was fourth, but
Right.
he was
Parked every step.
fantastic
Yeah.
in that race. But then gets upended here in a prep race where it looked like he was the horse to beat, and relatively reasonable fractions for a horse of that caliber. So, Nancy Tactor, she's one of the best in the business. She'll have him better this week, I am sure. And one thing about it, he's got a great post to work with in the final. That's going to help his chances. But he, like Prince Al Hanover, like Madden Oaks, have all been upended
Right.
in subsequent races in preparation for this.
Right. And I think that's going to maybe play a bit into it as well. He does get a good post to work with. We'll see what can happen. Of course, Nancy Tactor won the 2020 edition with Tall Dark Stranger. And Dexter's looking for his first pace win. Fallout, he's going to start from post 6 with Timmy T, Tony Alania. They teamed up in 2013 with Captain Treacherous. I thought he raced good last week. I really think this guy is much better when he's on or near the front.
He falls into the category, the same category of about 5 of the colts in here. He's a top quality colt, and if he gets some luck, you never know.
Right.
And I could say that for Joel and the Jets, the Moore pupil. He's going to get overlooked. He's lightly raced. From an experience standpoint, he's kind of playing catch up with these, and he could take a step forward. He wasn't that bad last week as well.
Right.
And you've got knockout round in there as well. Manolette, I will say Manolette had the fastest final quarter in that race. He was charging up the pylons like Pappy's Pistol.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I want to go back to the Dr. Ian Moore trainees. Prince Al Hanover, Joel and the Jets. Sitting next to Dave Little week in and week out, going over the road to the Meadowlands Pace. Doc Moore was very high on Joel and the Jets, and I think he really turned a lot of heads in that North America Cup elimination.
Yeah, I was that bottom line on May 17th. It was at non-winners at 3, and I was calling. I was filling in that night in the announcer's booth. And, I know on paper it doesn't jump out at you, 51 and 3 mile, sat fourth. But, he only got racing room probably the last 16th.
Okay.
And he was pacing as fast as a horse could pace. When he came out of the hole, he was flying, and it really caught my attention. I remember saying to myself, wow, this is a pretty nice colt here. I don't know what he ultimately will be, but so I'm not shocked to see him progressing like he is, despite having a bit of adversity. He was scratched from the Sun Beach Somewhere division after that. So he's only had 3 starts back after some sickness. And I think he would have gotten a lot from that prep race last time, in my opinion.
I agree with you on that. A couple weeks to freshen up, a good, Meadowlands tightener. Dave and I talk about that, week in and week out. Sometimes horses simply need that Meadowlands start under their belts, and I think he's going to get a lot from that effort. The other Dr. Moore trainee, that's Prince Al Hanover. He just got gunned down last week in an overnight event in Mohawk by a North America Cup elimination winner, Light Up the World. But he's been very good in his 16 starts in his career.
Your top colt, another son of a former pace winner, Captain Treacherous, and he's been knocking at the door of a win in a major race, and I think he's in a great spot to maybe break through this week. He's the one that I'm backing as my pick.
Okay.
This is a top quality colt. Now he got picked off at Mohawk Park last time out. He was rolling, and it looked like he was home free. I watched the replay. He had probably 7 lengths charted to Turn of Your Home, and that was legit.
Right.
And Light Up the World paced an incredible final quarter to gun him down. And there's a horse, if he happened to be in the field this year, he'd stack up pretty well. So I guess what I'm saying is I don't discount that effort. 48 and 2, he maybe got wandering a little bit when he was loose on the lead, and just got surprised late. So if he's got a 47 mile in him, which I think he's very capable of on a nice night here, that should have him awfully close to winning.
I know a couple people who are backing Manolette. Now, he's got post 8. He's got the money man. He's got Zira on board. This is son of Cattle Wash, first crop of those Cattle Wash horses. And what really caught my eye last week, Greg, was the versatility in this guy. Like, he had to pace home pretty hard there throughout the stretch when we've usually seen him on the front.
And maybe that's exactly what the doctor ordered, because against the best Grand Circuit colts, they're going to change up the approach, and they're going to want to try and bury him a little bit, which they did, and then let him pace on the end and see what he can do. And he showed with that kind of a trip, like a Poppy's Pistol, he could make some noise. So the money man, he's got a sneaky good horse here, I think, in Manolet. From the crop of cattle wash, the New Jersey crop, and I can tell you, north of the border, Jess, he is turning heads, and I mean turning heads with his 2-year-olds.
I watched the Grassroots, was that the other night, Tuesday night maybe? I watched the Grassroots, a lot of nice cattle wash colts, and I think that they're definitely going to make their presence seen on the Grand Circuit events moving forward. I'd mentioned I caught up with Braxton earlier on today. He told me he thinks Madden Oaks is better off of a helmet. He just doesn't know if he can get him there because he's been pretty aggressive.
Yeah, that's going to be the key. He's a big, powerful colt, and I think when you start him up, it's hard to shut him down. He is a specimen. I remember seeing him. I was working with Randy Waples on the show the last time he raced up there 2 weeks ago, and we made sure to walk out and get a look at him coming out of the paddock firsthand. Wow,
beautiful animal.
Oh. Incredible.
Yeah, and he only had a couple of starts last year. Unfortunately, was scratched out of that Breeders' Crown elimination. But Braxton thinks that maybe that scratch really helped him develop, mature, and grow up. And I think that could really be key for this guy in his 3-year-old season. We've talked about it. He had post 10 in that North America Cup final, now post 9. And I don't think they're going to let him get away with leaving like they did last time.
No. So bottom line, it's an intriguing, wide-open race, in my opinion. Who do you like?
I actually pegged Madden Oaks on top. I think that he's got plenty of that early speed to get him involved, and just by the prep races kind of leading into him, he was obviously beat in that overnight event 2-back by an older horse, pacing 49-3. I have him pegged on top. And you said you like Prince Hal?
Prince Hal Hanover and the Hot Toddy. And Doc Moore looking for his second pace trophy.
And 2 horses that we didn't talk about, 2 longer shots coming into the race. That's Pappy's Rocket for Ron Burke and Knockout Round, another Tony Alani, a trainee. 2 horses that haven't gotten in the win column this season, but it just makes for that much more wide open of a race.
It's the type of field where horses like that, it would be a shock for me if one of them jumped up and were actually the winner. But if they got a good piece of the pie and got some money, I wouldn't be shocked at all.
What has been your favorite Meadowlands Pace?
Oh, that's a good one. So many great ones. Probably the best one for me, although it was a strange phenomenon. We were coming down to cover Some Beach Somewhere, and he was undefeated, and the talk of the harness racing world. That was the night Artificial came up with the race of his life. And that was probably the race of the decade, or maybe the race of the century. It was incredible. And he knocked off the great Some Beach Somewhere. And it was like the wind got knocked out of everybody. It was like a state of shock in the winner's circle afterwards.
Interesting.
So not, it's weird to say that was, but I mean, it was the most memorable, and I think a lot of people would look back and say that was one of the greatest races I've seen.
It's always fun to go back and watch it too. Like just the atmosphere.
Call, everything about it. It's incredible.
I'm going to piggyback off of that because I think the most fun, or maybe my favorite / fun one that I've got to cover is Beach Glass, because he got to finish the story of Some Beach Somewhere, and Yannick was the one to sit behind him. And sometimes he says, maybe I'm the reason that Some Beach Somewhere got beat in the Meadowlands Pace. But just the emotion, the raw emotion from all the connections in the winner's circle from Beach Glass's win, and the crowd that night too was really, a nice crowd. So I think that goes down as maybe not the most exciting race, but storyline as well.
Yeah, it's just so many. It's got such a history.
Yeah, it does.
The Meadowlands Pace. I mean, it is, for pacers over the course of the last 40 years or so. It's it's the biggest in the sport.
Definitely, and there's plenty of stats that come with, I think, the 49 years that we've had the Meadowlands Pace. We talked about the oldest driver. It could be Dave Miller this year. The youngest driver was Montrell Teague with Wiggle It, Jiggle It. I think he was 24 years old. Yeah, there you have it.
Yeah. So Braxton, I believe, is the youngest this year. At
Yep, he's 25.
25. Montrell, he is still the youngest, and that's quite an accomplishment with the great Wiggle It, Jiggle It. Winningest post. Not shocking to me.
No.
Post 5, right in the middle of the gate. Yeah, Brett Pelling, the master, and he and John Campbell, right? Not always together, but
Right.
collectively they owned this race for a number of years, and then the great Cat Manzi,
Yeah.
the oldest, and it's amazing someone's threatening that.
I know.
And a big chance.
Yeah,
to do
for
it.
sure. Tim Tetrick, he's in at 6 wins in the Pace 2017 with Huntsville. That was one that stands out. Confederate, his most recent one in 2023. And he's got a chance with Fallout this year to maybe tie John Campbell. And then,
What about
of course,
the stakes record? Do you think?
I was just going to say
Think
that.
they can threaten it?
Ooh, stakes. I don't know if they can threaten it. It'll be interesting.
Yeah.
The track has been fast. That came just last year, 46-3 with Legendary. So
He was so good on that night.
yeah.
Last
Oh,
year.
so good. And that was the last place James said he wanted to be. He was on the front.
Yeah, and he was so good. He just let him roll. And on that night, there was no. He was the best colt, bar none, that night. He was the standout. Earlier in the year, Nijinsky, you could say that. Late in the year,
Captain
Albano.
Yeah.
It was fun to watch them sort of take their turns last season. Different kind of a group, I think, this year, especially with Luprint
Right.
out of the equation for now.
Definitely.
There's some of the other storylines. Braxton Boyd, that was a big moment for him in the NA Cup. Now he's going to come into this race with so much more confidence
Right.
on the big stage, and we've seen that he doesn't shy away from it.
No.
Big opportunity here in the Pace.
That's one thing I didn't get a chance to ask him earlier. Are you nervous? Like, have you been thinking about it nonstop since then? Are you going to think about it nonstop until then?
That's a good point, because in the Cup, I don't think he was, because he just felt like, I've got post 10.
An
there's
outside
nothing
chance
to lose.
almost.
Now he's thinking I'm coming in as a real contender.
Yeah.
So
And-
it's a good point.
And it's, going to be his Pace debut where, these other guys, they've raced in it a couple of times. Some of them have won it a couple of times, 6 times for Tetrick.
Yeah.
So it's maybe not a little bit of more added pressure on himself just because of, the opportunity that he's going to get.
And another point on there, not to change the subject, but one of the graphic there we just showed was the influence of the Great Sun Beach Somewhere,
Right.
going back to
Yeah.
him. He's had 3 sons that have won the race, and 5 of his sons represented in the final here with 8 of the 9 starters.
Yeah.
And he's got grandsons that have now won the Meadowlands Pace. So the gift that keeps on giving.
Yeah.
The Great Sun Beach.
Definitely. And another tidbit there as well, Dr. Moore is going to, really try with his 2 pupils to get the job done with Prince Hal Hanover and Joel and the Jets.
Yeah, I won it on the placing with
Yes,
Lala
Lala
Shadow back in 2021, I
Yes.
believe.
Yes.
And so he wants to win it outright here. And what a record he's put together. Doc Moore,
Yeah.
he's semi-retired, I guess, veterinarian. Guy from PEI that made it to the big time, and I mean, just year after year, he's back with these Grand Circuit types, and and he unveiled a 2-year-old colt,
I was gonna
cattle wash
say.
colt that looks like something incredible named Bojangles too.
I was just going to say that watching it, he's got a really nice group of 2-year-olds this year.
Exceptional.
Yeah. And
at this point.
Right. It's still early, but they all looked really nice on the track, I believe, like I said, Tuesday or I think it was Tuesday night, Monday or Tuesday night anyways. But always shows up year after year with a nice horse or 2.
Yeah, and they look fantastic. He's got the eye for picking them out at the sale. He picks a good-looking individual. That's a big part of the equation, and he knows what makes an athletic horse that has all the toolkit to be a good one, and if they've got a bit of pedigree to go with it, he can get it out of them.
Yeah, for sure. And he's got a good chance, like you had mentioned, with, of course, Prince Al Hanover, and then maybe a little bit of an outside chance with Joel and the Jets, but he's been high on him, so we'll see how the Meadowlands Pace shapes up. We wish everybody could be here with us on Saturday. Races start at 6:20, but if you can't, we'll be live on Facebook and YouTube through our page, the Meadowlands page, and then we're going to be shown on Fox Sports 2 as well. We'll be the only track shown, which is really nice, from 8 to 11, and Gabe and I will have all the coverage there. You and Dave and John Rallis will have all the action covered in-house, which is exciting. Is there one thing you're looking forward to, aside from maybe just the pace race? Is there anything that sticks out, a horse you're looking forward to seeing?
I wouldn't say a particular horse. I think sort of the expected matchups that we're going to see in some of those Hamiltonian preps.
Right.
That'll be a big one. The Maturity, I think, is maybe the race I'm most looking forward to, just in itself. And then the matchup, the showdown. We'll see if it's round 2, if it's game on again for Sylvia and Twinbee Joe Fresh.
Yeah, there's lots of matchups. I'm glad you brought that up.
An embarrassment of riches.
Yeah.
It's incredible.
It's going to be a great night of racing. We've got giveaways on tap as well. The T-shirt giveaway, that starts at 5 p.m. Yeah, first 5,000 guests to get that nice T-shirt. Peace and Love, Meadowlands Pace, Meadowlands Racetrack 2025. That giveaway gets underway at 5 p.m. The first 5,000 guests. Of course, live racing 6:20 p.m. We'll have a 360 camera as well.
Who came up with the Pace and Love?
Everybody in the office.
Well
we try and come up with something new and groovy every year, and that was their groovy this year. So yeah, it's a nice little slogan. We do have a 360 camera located in the lobby, so make sure you stop by and do that. We also have win wagers as well. I believe that those will be drawn after race 4 or 5. You must be present to win. We've got lots of games, live DJ, mechanical shark, cornhole tournament, plenty more, some food trucks as well, and then we have an enhanced wagering menu.
I was too bad we have to work. I'd like to be there.
I'll be going to some food trucks.
The festivities,
don't worry.
Yeah, what a list of food trucks. I was looking at that last night, and what a list here for a wagering menu. If you can't find something to sink your teeth into here, you're not looking too hard.
No. We got a couple of pick 5s. So everything gets underway, obviously in the beginning of the card. 20-cent pick 5, races 1 through 5. That 20-cent Survivor pick 7, 3 through 9. We're going to have 3 pick 4s on the evening. The first one is race number 4. That's a $50,000 guaranteed pool. A pick 6, races 6 through 11. 10-cent high 5, races 7 and 11. And then races 8 through 11. That's a $100,000 guaranteed pick 4. All stakes pick 4. 10 through 14, pick 5. And then 11 through 14, another pick 4. Lots of pick 4s. And nice guarantees as well. A little bit of something for everyone.
Yeah, I love the pick 4. Always been a big fan. Pick 5s have kind of maybe phased them out at some tracks. But so it's nice to see that you've got 3 opportunities here, and those big guarantees too add a lot to the intrigue.
Definitely does. Lots of wagering options, lots of food options, lots of racing options, lots of places to watch the race. I just encourage everybody to come out Saturday. It's really going to be a nice night for racing.
What a crowd we had here last week.
I know.
With the fireworks and the prep race.
Took me 40 minutes to leave.
Yeah, that felt like old school Meadowlands Pace weekend. So hoping for the same here. It's something for everybody, I'll tell you that. And like I said, we'll be working, but we'll be sliding out to those food trucks between races for sure.
Any final thoughts before we close the show?
Just get your programs good and early.
Yeah, they're free online.
Free online.
Yep.
Get them because you've got so many great wagering opportunities. You do some studying ahead of time. It's a great card, and surely there are going to be some payouts here. That if you do some homework and find that 1 or 2 that maybe don't pop off the page immediately, I think you'll get paid.
I think you bring up a good point, too, before we do close the show. With these overflow fields, very competitive fields, it's going to be a really nice, betting races from top to bottom.
Those multi-leg wagers, when you get to that last leg and you've skimped a little bit and you want to go deep, you're going to have to reach into your pocket a little bit. But again, it just takes, especially in the pick 4s, pick 5s, you just get 1 or 2 mild upsets along the way. In those sequences, you'll get a nice return.
Yeah.
And then, of course, if you can get something really outside the box, then it's jackpot time.
Don't be afraid to place a win wager or two, I think that there's going to be plenty
sure.
of good value, just because I don't think there's necessarily one complete standout always in the races on Saturday.
And you're getting drivers too that there aren't here week in, week out. So similar to NA Cup, you get the American drivers come up there, and it adds a whole new wrinkle into things. Now you've got the Canadian guys coming here. You've got guys like Braxton, guys from other jurisdictions coming in as well, and it just changes the dynamic a little bit. So, like an example, James McDonald. Name escapes me. He won last week. He won the Breeders' Crown last year.
Oh, Coach Stefanos.
Coach Stefanos.
I was like, oh gosh.
Sorry. And there's a good example of James has teamed up with him a few times and they click. So if you've got the ability to go back, look through the chart lines a little bit, do a bit of digging, and you can probably identify a nice winner or two.
Free program pages on our website, playmeadowlands.com. Underneath of that handicapping tab for the whole weekend. We race Friday as well, 6:20 post time both nights, 14 races both nights. Leg 1 of the New Jersey Sire Stakes action for those 2-year-olds get underway on Friday night as well. And then Grand Circuit horses take the stage on Saturday. We hope you can be with us. If not, you can definitely watch on our Facebook and YouTube pages, Fox Sports 2 from 8 to 11 p.m. But I really encourage everybody to come out on Saturday night. It's going to be a great night of racing. Thanks for tuning in to our preview show.